talk about wine criticism and bias and tasting blind versus tasting with a winemaker or with tech sheets, and also the 100-point system. We talked about, is there a perfect wine? You said you don't believe in perfection in anything, and that you like to keep your scores at 98.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Because I know you spent a lot of time, you rate wines.
Well, you know, when I started out, the first 7 or 8 years, I didn't give scores for wines. I just used the general good, very good, outstanding summary at the end. My feeling then was I wasn't good enough to give scores because I didn't have enough experience. I really didn't have a feel for how could you score wines? How could you put a number on a wine? And I never felt comfortable with it. And readers would tell me, well, you know, we can read between the lines in your reviews. We can tell which wines you really like and which you don't. But then they would clamor for scores. People want scores. So finally, around 2009, I just gave in, and I thought, well, I've got enough experience. I think I can handle it properly. And so then I started scoring wines. But you know, it torments me. It really does. It's so. I mean, I can tell the difference between an 87 wine and a 93 wine. That's easy. But it's like when they get up in the low 90s, and a lot of wines these days that are 90, 91, 92, 93. It's really hard to separate those. It torments me sometimes because I know that, you know, like it's gotten to the point that if a wine is 90 or above, people pay attention. It's scored less than 90, and even though the wine is good, an 89 or 88, 87 wine is really good, it just doesn't hold the same interest to the consumer. They're used to that cutoff, sort of.
We took a complex, deep subject of wine and dumbed it down to a 100-point system. We dumbed it down by naming a handful of varietals that were relatively easy to put your arms around, to the exclusion of really getting into the thousands of varietals that exist and the real profound exploration of wine in general, because it became a simple check mark, a number that they would stick on the bottle, and I wonder if we need to sort of come back from that, and maybe this is what the arc of a maturing wine society looks like.
Well, I wrote about this past year. I wrote an article about is scoring outdated? Is it lost its usefulness, or is it losing its usefulness? Because I talk to my sons that are Gen X, millennial. They don't know anything about scores. They don't pay attention about scores. They look on social media sources. They talk to their friends. They don't even know about wine critics that much. So there is some change in that regard. But wineries still depend very highly on scores for marketing.
For sure.
And they will send their wines out to several reviewers, and the one that gives them the best score, those are the scores that they post. And it's a powerful marketing tool, and wineries depend on it and use it. But I'm just wondering, long term, whether it's going to have the same importance to the consumer that it once had.
Well, and you did a really interesting thing too. You went back and reviewed after 16 to 24 months a couple dozen wines that were sent to you upon release, and you had a second bottle to re-review those wines, and you compared your scores to then and now. And I thought that was very interesting. And essentially it came out about 50-50, right? 50 were about the same, but 50% were
either a little better or a little worse.
Yeah.
So it shows you the variability. There's a lot of variability in it. When I taste wine, and Pinot Noir is particularly difficult. Chardonnay is pretty easy because the open Chardonnay is pretty much like it's going to be when you open it. Sure, the really great Chardonnays can change over time. You may find more interesting after they've been opened.
Pinot Noir is a roller coaster.
But you open it up, and usually it's been in a barrel for a long time, and then in a bottle. Usually, all of a sudden, a lot of that oak influence comes to the front, and that you need hours for that to go away. If you're just popping the cork and you're tasting Pinot Noir based on that one point in time, it's not a real fair evaluation of the wine. What I try to do is I'll retaste the open bottle later in the day, just before dinner. I'll take a sip. But the wines that were good, I'll see. And then a lot of times I'll taste them the next day too. And I think that's the only fair way you can do it. And even that, I give somebody some Pinot, and this guy said, I opened it, and this was just recently, the wine didn't do much for me, I didn't like it that much. So I put it aside, and I tried it the next day, and it was marvelous. And the next day, it was still marvelous. And that's Pinot. It'll do that.
Mm-hmm. Have you compared your scoring to other critics?
I have done that, yeah.
What did you find out?
Pretty much in alignment, although once in a while you get a wine that they'll score really high and you won't. I don't really like a lot of oak on Pinot. If that comes to mind when I'm tasting the wine, it usually is a turnoff for me. I mean, Pinot loves oak. You need some oak generally. If you taste Pinots that are made completely in neutral oak, they can be good, they're fruity, but they just don't quite have the complexity.
Kind of like the 10 to 40% new oak is a sweet spot.
Right. And I noticed that some reviewers, that doesn't seem to bother them. They'll even describe in their review, chocolate, toast, espresso, all these things that come with oak. Those should never be in a review of Pinot, I don't think, a good Pinot. Wines that are bold, full-bodied, fruity, big, some reviewers can find those very attractive, which I don't.
Right.
So, but the problem you have in reviewing wine is we all have our stylistic preferences. For me, I like elegance. I like silkiness. I like energy in the Pinot. I like alcohols that are 13.5, 13.8. I don't, when I taste wines that are 14.5, 14.6, and when I'm tasting, my lip burns a little bit. I know that that's probably over 15% alcohol. I don't really like that. But I see high scores for some of those things.
Right.
So I think every reviewer is a little bit different. And we've compressed the 90-point scale so much that we're really talking about 85 and up. Rarely get wines scores less than 85. And
Right,
so,
which goes back to the validity and or the value of that 100-point scoring system in this day and age. And if it's, given its imperfection, in the chase for perfection, what would be a possible replacement?
well, that's the way I ended this article. I wrote, what are we going to do to replace them? What can we do? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
I think what we're seeing, maybe with younger people too, is more of an interest in alignment of values among the producer. So that's where I think some of the natural wines come into play. So people who are concerned about organics and the environment are more inclined toward wines that hang the banner of natural. And I think that's one step. The other step is, as you mentioned, appreciating certain appellations and vineyards and producers within those regions. And then I think there's probably something to be said for as you mentioned, this winery where your son works, the marketing and what's happening. Then you ask, well, does that mean the loudest voice wins? Or the most wild marketing antics? Which concerns me.
Well, like I told you, my impression is this winery, which is very popular where my son works, the people come there, they're not really fed a lot of score information, and they don't really ask about it. They're looking for the experience. They love wine. If the wine is good, they're going to be happy. They're looking for the experience that goes along with it.
Right.
And I think if we can emphasize that rather than, you know, have somebody at the tasting bar say, well, so-and-so gave this wine 93. I don't know, I think that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, I just wonder how 2,500 producers become distinguished and identify differentiation. Because that's a longer, deeper conversation, the experience. It's not the world we live in, which is sound bites and limited attention.